All right, cool. Yeah. We're coming to you kind of live through Zoom right now. This, I guess, is our cage side quarantine distance convos here. I am Rick Huntsman, and joining me as always.
What's up, guys? This is Quince.
So, yeah, this is pretty cool, man. I'm glad that the past couple of weeks we kind of been messing around with this, trying to get our ducks in a row, and hopefully we finally got it situated. So we'll be able to record this and then broadcast it, which is going to be a little bit weird. I think you and I both kind of got used to that live audience kind of vibe a little bit, and now it's very genuinely we just have to talk to each other.
Now it's just us. Now it's just us. No, it's cool. It'll probably take some getting used to, but I'm really starting to dig the app, the Zoom app. This is something I would use with when I would correspond with War Drum Mixing back and forth, and as he would travel to different locations outside of New York. He's actually the one that showed me how this works, and the fact that you can record it and then later, play it at a later date. So super convenient. And, we could even in the future get other guests on here and have, several people on at once.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that'd be killer. So this will be, kind of a multifaceted experiment. Because like you said, it'd be great to be able to get some people that are a little bit out of the area, because we've been, highlighting some local guests and stuff. But I know you got connections with people kind of all over the place. So
sure.
It's be cool, dude. We actually I was talking with Sensei Ludwig, so that's who I studied Muay Thai under. I was chatting with him the other day. He suggested using Zoom to do like private lessons with my students, even just to put some eyes on them and let them know kind of how things are going on their end. And they've been doing live Zoom classes from headquarters, and a ton of people in the martial arts community have been capitalizing on this platform a little bit, which is pretty cool. Again, kind of reminds me anyways, the situation that we're in. It seems kind of grim sometimes maybe, but we have all this technology available and all these platforms available to kind of stay in touch. So as far as the social distancing goes, it's actually not been too bad.
Yeah, no, and it's doable. And sometimes that anticipation of it, or you kind of you dwell on it a little bit too much, and instead of actually living and just pursuing it, and it feels heavier, until you start taking action yourself, and you realize that things are there's still opportunity here. There's still different ways to connect, different ways to grow and to learn. So, in that sense, it kind of comes full circle, and you just get to carry on as almost usual.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's honestly, it's kind of nice. I don't have to make excuses to not be around people. I'm sorry, man. Corona, I can't do shit. But yeah, it's funny that you phrase it like that, because that's kind of what happened for me. Is I call it catastrophizing. So you build things up in your head a lot. And then when you get around to doing it, you kind of feel silly because it's not, it wasn't that bad. You feel that I procrastinate, in doing chores, doing work around the house, and, whatever that, put off that to-do list forever and ever and ever. And then when you finally get around to it, you bang it out. It's the exact same thing, metaphorically speaking, or think, oh shit, I'm not going to be able to go out and do anything. And honestly, man, there's, outside of, I do miss being at the gym, and I miss training with my friends and being able to coach in a live setting and stuff. But outside of that, life's been amazing. Really.
And it had, I agree. There, of course, there are some days where it's not as amazing. It's still going back and forth for me. And I'll have some lulls and downtime to really, and I'll really start kind of getting on myself a little bit. But the once I'm able to, the quicker I'm able to shake that off and get back in motion, man, there's just, I feel very spirited. And a lot of the conversations that I am having through Zoom or on the phone, I find a lot of people are finding that same thing out themselves in their own ways, and which is always contagious as well. I think
loaded word to use right now, but
contagious.
contagious.
Well, we're trying to put a good spin on it.
Sure.
But you know, and it kind of helps highlight some things about just like self and character. Like, man, like I did not reach out enough, you know, prior to this, you know, whether friends or family members and things like that. And I forgot how good, you know, it can make you feel, or, you know, good for them, you know, to provide that sort of comfort, or just have that, just reminisce on conversations and things, and just catch up in general, in which I've always felt like I was too busy to do, you know. And I would always tell myself, oh, they're probably too busy for me to call, you know, either, you know, try and justify it. But you know, I noticed that it is nice, you know, we take a lot of this sort of stuff for granted, and this kind of puts me in a position to recognize that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. That the kind of notion of you know, now we have time to do the things that we never had time for, or, you know, or said we didn't have time for. And I think it's really refocus priorities, you know. And right now you're still going to find ways, despite the limitations that are upon us, you know, and the responsibilities. Like, you know, you and I sitting here chatting over, you know, long distance, you know, in an effort to maintain social distancing and all that. But the priorities of staying in touch with people, the shape of that may change, the way that looks might change, but the fact that you're able to still do it if you want to, we have the means to make that happen, which is, you know, again, for me, just a huge source of gratitude. You know, and being able to experiment and do different things. Like I've been trying to push myself to find new ways to get outside of my comfort zone too. Even in this, it's really easy just to sit at home and be comfortable. So I've tried to capitalize on social media, you know, and I've done a couple solo chats here and there. And like the other day, I just turned the camera on and I just sat here and practiced my bass live on camera for like 45 minutes.
Yeah, I saw that. And you've been rather consistent, and I think it's cool to see, and especially because I know several months ago that probably didn't really cross your mind. You know, I know it didn't cross mine.
Right.
And it's at first it's kind of it's daunting.
It is, yeah.
You know, it can be overwhelming, but like it's useful. And once you get over that mountain of self-doubt and put yourself out there just that 1 or 2 or 3 times, you know, it gets easier.
Yeah.
You know, it gets easier, and it definitely pays off.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. And, you know, you find, I've found that I'm, you know, able to reconnect with people, especially like a couple guys I used to play in bands with and stuff. They hit me up, you know, just little things like, oh man, you know, awesome to see you playing and this and that, you know, kind of chat, reminisce, like you said, catch up about old times and stuff. And I mean, when life's operating under a regular schedule, I don't have time to sit down for an hour and practice.
Sure.
You know, and for me, you know, I play out live all the time, but that's with a full band. There's never an emphasis on the bass player, you know, and the kind of the cliche is that the bass player doesn't matter. So for me, you know, nobody pays much attention except for musicians, you know, to what the bass player does. So for me, the fact that I played live a bunch of times before, just sitting down in front of the camera by myself, like, hey guys, this is what I do in my private time when I'm practicing.
Right.
This is all the times I'm going to fuck up. These are all the mistakes I make. You know, these are the things I'm working on. And, you know, it was brand new. And it's hard for me, you know, the more I get out of my comfort zone, the harder it is to get outside of that comfort zone again. So yeah, it was really cool, man. But like you said, the more you do it, I mean, there's no negative outcome to that. I just did it.
Right.
You know, and you know, some cool feedback. There's some people that probably watching like, this guy's a fucking clown. Fine. You know, but nobody was like, hey, you're an idiot. Don't ever do this again. You're ruining lives, you know?
Right.
So.
No, very true. Very true. And, you know, because what does it come down to? You know, we could sit on here all day and we can talk about the importance of the process, the importance of building structure, and how that plays out. Or you could turn that camera on live and show what that process looks like for you.
Right.
You know, and I could do the same for myself, and likewise for everyone else.
Absolutely. Well, that's exactly what you did pretty literally. I caught a little bit of it. Was it Sunday night? You sat down and you broke down that song of yours, kind of line by line. You went through it and dissected the meaning, or where you got the inspiration and all that, kind of cut it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that was really cool as far as exposing the personal process, you know, and kind of walking people through exactly what that is.
Yeah, you know, and that came from sort of the same mindset where I've got to get out of my comfort zone. You know, I think it's one thing to just hop online and just perform and run through the set list and do what you got to do, then click off. And that's cool, man. It's certainly highly entertaining, but I was just trying to think of what I could do new, something different. You know, we're in a different situation that we haven't been in before. How can I take my skill set or you know, and apply it to that makes it, you know, that just kind of tops it off a little bit. And I figured that was the best. Same as you. You know, I wanted people to really have some insight and see what the process looked like and what it sounded like. So, yeah, I think I'm going to keep it rolling on Sundays, but find a verse, and you know, I'll rap it out, and then like you said, just break it down, tell people where it comes from, what it means, some of the metaphors, and the history behind it, and it's a great way to slow things down and still be able to interact with people. Because if I'm just up here, you know, just rapping, you know, song after song, there's not a lot of interaction. And I'll see people chiming in, and that almost is a distraction at times, you know, because I'm trying to focus on on a track, but I want to respond back to what people are saying, and I feel like this changes the pace of everything. Right. And because that's one of the things I miss most, you know, about performing, about being out there and performing, is connecting with people. You know, that's really what it's about. I mean, the song is going to be the song, no matter what. It's going to stay the same. Right. But really, it is, you know, hearing what other people are going through, what they have to say, how they might hear a verse. You know, and it kind of just opens up my perspective as well. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So and so I mean, so much that I mean, you know, writing's poetry, writing's art, you know, and it's open to interpretation and stuff. So, as you know, I know that I've been you know, reading before, especially poetry, and then or listening to music, and always thought, you know, this is how this hits me. I wonder where this artist is coming from, man. And you're giving, you know, people that enjoy your music, you're giving them an opportunity to see how their takeaway from the song stacks up to yours, but also you get a really unique perspective in a very, you know, genuine and very open way of seeing exactly how they're interpreting what you're saying and how it's moving and affecting people, man. And that's something, so rarely do we get such an intimate look and you know, understand and be able to appreciate, man, what a blessing that is, to be able to understand that, you know, something you said or the way you portrayed your art, you portrayed yourself has had an impact on someone, you know? It's true. It's true. I'm definitely grateful. And it did, you know, it took me a little bit of time, some trial and error, just as far as what I wanted to do or how I could best do that. And so I do, I do see it changing and adapting as I move forward. And I would like other things to kind of stem from it, to be able to hop on, maybe not just for music, you know, and spark different forms of conversation. But I think the best way that I can right now create this platform is that, you know, kind of song breakdown, invite people in that way. And then the things that stem from that are still to come. And I'm looking forward to that just as much. Absolutely, man. Yeah, just kind of plant that seed a little bit and water it and let it grow, and, you know, see what happens, see where it takes you. Sure. You know, and I see a lot of other people adapting their talents as well online, you know, which is cool to watch. You know, I see you guys are still pumping out content over at American Top Team. Man. As best you guys can. And it's not just, you know, one or two people. I see a couple different faces almost every day participating in that.
Yeah. So we what we did is when we knew kind of things were coming and we were making preparations at the gym, we were gonna have to start adjusting class times and class sizes and stuff. And we knew we had eventually the closures coming, so we tried to get out ahead of it a little bit. We shot a bunch of footage. Dylan and I went in. We trained one day. We friggin' hammered out a bunch of combos, did some instructionals. Had it. I mean, our own little training session and just rep things out, turn the camera on, and then go back to it. We trained for probably a good hard 2 hours, which was in and of itself fun.
Right.
But then it gave us a ton of content, and then we're able to still stay connected with our students. Then Coach Paul and I, our jiu-jitsu coach, we got together and we shot a shitload of jiu-jitsu videos. He did some longer, like 5 to 7 minute, like really in-depth breakdowns, and then a bunch of quick 1 to 2 minute clips.
Yep.
And that was fun. That was a few hours we were there. Easy, buddy. And then Peter and I, we were running through some drills one day, and we recorded a bunch of stuff. And now as we go, I think people are getting a little more settled into it now. Like Coach Joey's shooting some stuff from his house. I've been throwing some, just like little clips of shadow boxing or little breakdowns I've been doing here and there. A lot of people are getting into the mix, man. So it's really cool. We actually, right now I've put together kind of a social media onslaught. So within the next couple of weeks, hopefully, by May we're back to it. But I've got a couple things planned that hopefully will get people excited, and keep the gym in their mind and help them get over being a little stir crazy, and help them find a little bit of rhythm while things are out of rhythm,
Yeah.
So it's been really cool.
It's just cool to see that virtually, the city coming back to life, one organization or artist or business at a time.
Yeah.
I was going through the reps of Joey put out a shadow boxing and footwork little program out, and I was going through some of those reps, man. And
good, man.
And it's helpful because I'll do the best I can, the things I remember you guys teaching at home, but I might get stuck in my little routine until somebody else comes in, or until I can go to your page and be able to add on a couple different exercises that might not come to mind.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, it's easy, because especially when we were shadowboxing, everybody has kind of their go-to. Like, these are the things I know. This is what my body knows. This is what I'm comfortable with. And it's nice to have this reminder. Like, even for me, seeing, Joey and I train out of the same curriculum, same program. And it's good for me even just to see, keep in mind the simple, the basic stuff, kind of the fundamentals before you get all crazy, and a lot of gyms, a lot of academies have put out, like I was saying earlier, they're doing Zoom classes, but a lot of them are pumping out content. A lot of the instructors have gyms set up at their house. I know a lot of the big jiu-jitsu names released free content to their online stuff. Guys that, normally charge like $100 to $200 for these like DVD instructionals and stuff, they're giving one free away to everybody that comes in, man. So
nice.
a lot of good stuff out there to keep, mentally keep people going and keep them from getting, like you were saying, stuck in that groove.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And every little bit helps. It really does, because everyone doing just a little bit comes together in that bigger picture.
Yeah.
And kind of normalizes, days and times.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's comforting and it's necessary in order to progress.
Absolutely, man.
And it's also on the days that we individually might fall back a little bit. There's that group that can kind of pick you right back up and get you right back in.
Yeah. My my big thing has been trying to make sure that I'm still in some way, even on a slow day or even on a day where I just say, fuck it, I'm gonna lay on the couch and screw around on my phone all day or watch TV or whatever, just kind of fuck off, but enjoy being lazy. trying to make sure that I'm still, still finding that one thing to do to enrich myself every day, and now it's not even doesn't even feel like a chore anymore, but it's something I crave every day. If I haven't done something that day, I can feel it, without even having to think about it. It's like, oh shit, I'm hungry, I need to eat. Mentally, I get hungry for that. I crave that. Even if it's, reading one chapter of a book, 15 minutes or, whatever, cleaning the house up a little bit, doing some yard chores, something,
Right.
And man, that freaking helps so much. And then trying to make sure I'm still pushing that message and I'm still propagating that to people. And hopefully, when someone's down or getting disconnected and stuff, hopefully that reminder of, look, man, it's times are crazy, but you still just have to do, one thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think what I've been focusing on mostly, even kind of, I think last time we left the conversation, we were talking about structures, rebuilding personal structures within larger structures. And at the time when we were speaking, that was all kind of like coming to mind for the first time,
right.
At least really putting it together cohesively. And so that's kind of been my focus. And I came across this great quote saying that, structure determines behavior, determines results. And it's something that I've just been, it's kind of been the new mantra.
Sure.
So, to have a structure set in place for me is my best move, my best foot forward. And it's, I think, well, it's proactive. It's not response. I'm not responding to situations.
Right.
I'm able to be creative and be proactive, throughout the day or, as different situations come in.
Right.
So, that's been big for me. Really sitting down and like clearly, because, everybody is, writing, they're writing their goals. Everybody, I have things in mind that I want to work toward. But what I was not doing enough was clearly defining the reality of now.
Right.
Because if that hasn't been clearly defined, you can define your goals all you want. But if you're not defining where you're at right now, what good is over there?
Right.
You still don't have that sense of direction. So I think, those Sunday episodes where I'm breaking down, the rhyme and the song, stuff like, those ideas came from me understanding my reality and what was possible for me here and now. For the time being. So I think that sort of changed my perspective quite a bit, and it's something that I want to carry with me moving forward.
Absolutely. Yeah, man, that's huge. When I was as you were talking, I was kind of thinking I was going to ask, so you talk about structure and then defining goals and stuff. Well, how do you keep your structure intact through quickly changing or like uncertain times? But I think you addressed that really well, and I really like that notion of defining now for yourself and coming to grips with reality and just being straightforward. Okay, so for the instance, like if my goal is to stay in shape,
right?
Well, how long do I have to stay in shape for? I don't know. I don't know when this is going to end.
Right.
I don't know when I'm going to be able to get back to my normal routine. So I can't say, okay, I have a 14-day plan. I have to figure out, all right, how, every single day, how am I going to do this? And how can I build this structure that it's sustainable indefinitely until I can rebuild the structure again? Because no matter what we do, I mean, we've been on this for almost a month now already.
Right.
Your habits are changed, your lifestyle's different. So when things get back to normal, it's going to be an entirely different structure we have to rebuild. We're all going to have to break down and start back over.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, and kind of what you were saying is it's really important to set up a structure that we can carry with us through this.
Yes.
Because when we get to when we get to the end of the quarantine, when we get to this end of this period in our life, we're going to have to look, reflect back on these past 6, 8, 12, whatever weeks it ends up being. We're going to have to say, okay, did I do anything to set myself up for the future, or did I just waste it all away and have to completely rebuild? Do we have a framework to work from, or did we just fuck off all this time?
Sure. Sure. Yeah, no. And that's exactly why we have to create our own framework within that structure. Right. Because, it's the numbers they tell us are changing as far as how long it might take. It goes from, a couple weeks to 90 days to however long. So now people are hanging on every word about the number this, the number that, and that becomes their main focus, when really the number is kind of irrelevant in regards to your personal process, and carving out this path for yourself, or path toward self-actualization in a way.
Yeah. So yeah, man. And I think that kind of the number being irrelevant really just falls back in line with what you and I have been talking about for so long is we have to build, for me, it's day one, capitalize on what's in front of us right now, because it doesn't matter how long it's going to go. It doesn't matter how long, it lasts. I think one of the things we talked about, maybe the last time we did an episode at the gym, so I don't know what, 2-3 years ago it's been now. But one of the things we talked about was we talked a little bit about, mortality and this notion of eventually you're going to die. And when you die, you're going to have things that are unfinished. And there's no way around that. That's a 100% fact for every single person. But we have to set ourselves up in such a way that if at any moment we die, we're content with the progress that we're making in every single aspect of our life. And that's it. That's exactly where we're at right now. I talked about it a little bit the other day when I did kind of like my solo, just turned the camera on and talked for 15 minutes until I ran out of breath. But we have, like, we're essentially eventually this pandemic's going to die. And when that does, we have it's like a practice round of life. What did we do with this time? Because we're going to come out of it. We're going to keep living. When you die, you just die, and that's it. You don't have to worry about regretting the time you fucked off, because you'll be dead. But at the end of this, when you sit and you look back and think, okay, well, I could have done this differently. I could have done this differently. I could have done this differently. And then you have to, pick back up from there, instead of just right now redefining what now is, figuring out how to fit our goals into the circumstances that we have in front of us and making the most of it. And whatever, however that looks for us, there's going to be a little bit, we're going to have to change what our goals are. A little bit, we're going to, have to understand we're not going to be as fully capable as we could be. But, what is the best? What is our best self that we can make right now? How can we be productive? And yeah. Yeah.
And how can we live fully?
Right.
Sometimes to live fully doesn't mean you're always being productive. And
yeah.
That's something that is, I don't think I would have come to that conclusion before. But even like you were saying, sometimes you allow yourself to just hop on a couch and flip through your phone and just kind of zone out. Like that shit is needed. It's needed. And it still can be a part of a full day, a very full day. But you have to be able to snap out of it. None of these things, you don't want a crutch, something like that. And certainly, if a crutch at all, that I think that's what I like about the structure, because I like using the structure as a crutch at times, because that's keeps me going forward even if I don't want to. But my alarm will go off at 9:30, and that means I'm about to pick up a book. No, I read for 3 hours the other day, bro.
Nice.
I didn't even know if that was still possible. But, usually, awesome. Anytime that I would read before, it largely was just before bed, and I'd start reading and I'd be out. But I try. I've been reading more in the morning, where I'm more alert and could absorb it a little bit more, and I fall right into it, and time flies. So
it's awesome, man.
Yeah. No. I think I'm getting off track here. But that doesn't go to say that, you know, after I have those sort of sessions, I'll you know, I've got a couple hours of downtime in the afternoon where maybe I'll throw, you know, on Netflix or throw YouTube, you know, something on YouTube on, or just like you said, fuck off on the phone.
Yeah.
But to only just be stuck in those, you know, those negative patterns, they start to show up quick. You know,
Absolutely.
the outcome starts to show up quick, and the you know, mental health starts to deteriorate. You know, physical, social, all those things.
Yeah, man, it's we have such an amazing opportunity, because, you know, we always say the question is, what would you do if you didn't have to work? You know, what would you do if you didn't have to work? Man, we can know right now, we can live the fullest life we can live outside of the constraints I have in work right now. Granted, I say that fully understanding there are people that genuinely have to be concerned about their health. There are people with sick family members. There are people in very stressful, very hard situations right now. But the reality is, a majority of us are not in that situation. A majority of us aren't working.
Mm-hmm.
I've been canvassing a lot of people. I've been having discussions and just trying to see how people's employers are treating them, how kind of everybody's, you know, economic situation is. Personally, it's because if I know someone's employer is taking care of them, I'm going to continue to patronize that establishment. You know, if, you know, employers aren't taking care of their employees right now, I'm not going to go back to those stores after the pandemic. So for me, that's kind of a, you know, take care of those that are taking care of their people, you know, and help those people that are running good businesses and stuff. But, you know, so some people are in a great situation where they don't have to worry about work. Like myself personally, I'm in a very fortunate situation where I do not have to worry about a single thing. You know, my employer directly told me that whatever happens, to the extent of his abilities, he's going to make sure I'm taken care of. So I don't have to worry about claiming unemployment. I don't have to worry about shit. All I have to worry about is how I'm going to find balance and how I'm going to figure out how to appreciate my life. I have a blank canvas to establish my personal balance between playtime, between idle time, focus time, training time, you know, enrichment. I have 24 hours a day that are completely mine. I get to stay up late. I get to sleep in. I get to read what I want, practice when I want, watch TV when I want. I get to do this all. And the responsibility lies on me to build a structure that is balanced.
Right.
And honestly, man, as far as mental health goes, I feel healthier now than I have maybe ever. You know, and I think a lot of it is just capitalizing on this opportunity that we have. You know, I have a completely blank slate. I have zero obligations whatsoever.
Yeah, well, but I mean, you know, but that's such a healthy disposition. You know, you were coming into it with a rather healthy disposition, because I think that's what the majority of our conversations have always been, to really find and define the things that we find value in, and be better from it and for it. And so you're 100% right, man. Like the situation that we are in now, and coming in with kind of the pre-structure, the framework to this sort of disposition, I think helps us to propel, you know, helps people to be able to propel in you know, in a situation like this. And like you said, it doesn't mean it goes for everybody. You know, there are people that have different responsibilities and obligations or health situations. And hopefully, you know, the cities and the towns and the government coming together to help out as best they can.
Right.
While they're moving at the speed that they move, we have all the responsibility in the world to meet them halfway.
Right.
To do the best that we can. You know, I was just having a conversation the other day, and we were talking about the importance, you know, because we were talking about how we had worked so hard towards certain goals and had the summer, you know, just kind of laid out perfectly. And then all of a sudden the shift, you know, switches on you. And there's nothing that you can do about that other than be ready, you know, other than to have that adaptable mindset and
Right.
still, you know, go after the things you need. And we were saying like, it seems like it just happens to still work out.
Yeah,
And
man.
is it luck? Man, I don't know what luck is.
Yeah.
Are some people fated? You know, I don't know. But the thing is, it seems to help people who help themselves.
Right. 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 Right.
You know, and I think that I just keep coming across that almost as a truism. You know, that reality time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Absolutely. And so you say, you know, you were talking about how, you know, kind of coming into this with a healthy mindset. Man, last time we actually got together, we were at your place and we went live from your kitchen there. I was not in a good place. You know, I was at, like, one of the biggest things for me was, like, I just kind of leaned on you really heavy. Like, I needed perspective, you know, and that's what most of that was I needed, you know, your mindset to figure out, you know, where you were at mentally, understanding how you were going to apply your structure. Cause a lot of the stuff we work off of, you know, is the same frameworks, the same basic understanding. But what was really awesome about that, and kind of feeds back into the truth behind what you said, is that I know that being in those low spots and being in those anxious or scared or nervous, those bad spots, is part of the cycle. And I knew that there was some way that I would eventually, life would make sense again, and I'd be able to continue moving forward. And, you know, it was just, I had to have a bad day in order to get pushing forward, you know, propel myself forward. And what's so awesome, man, is, like, you know, we have all this time, we have all this opportunity. We're very grateful. I think you and I are in fairly similar situations. You know, I think that we have pretty easy situation dealing with this quarantine right now. That being said, I feel responsible to still help other people the best I can. Now, financially, that's not going to be an option. You know, I'm in an easy situation, but it's not, you know, I don't have a ton of money rolling in, obviously, you know, so I can't help that way. So how do I help other people, you know, right now? And I think a lot of that is going to be me essentially doing the same thing you did for me, but continuing that, you know, that kind of pay it forward mentality, figuring out how you and I can keep having conversations, how we can share this insight with other people. And, you know, again, always with the hope being that something that we say is going to help somebody, you know, mentally, emotionally get through this. There's a huge emphasis on physical health right now. It's going to be easy. Everybody's going to be out of shape, put on weight, be frustrated, you know, lose their progress and all that right now. But man, I think so much of that is tied into mental health too. And, you know, just figuring out how to apply our existing structure and our existing framework, how to adapt that to this current situation, and then be able to carry it through the end of this, and the whole time just to be able to elevate and progress, you know?
You know, because after situations like this, and to still come out on top, or at least with some momentum, you know, what really, you know, what can really get in your way? You know,
right.
what can get in your way? You know, once you realize that you can overcome these things, like, you know, even chatting with you now compared to when we tried doing this a couple of weeks ago, you've done a complete 180.
Yeah, man.
And bounced back, and you have, like you said, been getting outside of your comfort zone and trying things new, and you know, and applying your skill set in a way that's still beneficial, not just for your own personal health and well-being, but for those that you you know, come into contact with.
Right.
And imagine if you do that for someone else, and they are able to pull that 180 and go about the world in similar ways. And this keeps, I'm not going to say that C word, but, you know, it you know, as it carries on, and that ripple effect, that butterfly effect. I think that's just why people are so fucking cool, man. You know what I mean? Because we do have the opportunity to make these changes and to adapt and to recognize. And when we are a little bit lost, man, we can connect with other people for that little push, or that, you know, little bit of inspiration when needed.
Absolutely.
And it just doesn't stop. It doesn't stop.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely with the right mindset, this is just another situation that encourages and grows gratitude for everything that life throws at you, man. You know, like you said, maybe it's destiny, maybe people are fated for this, and you know, yada yada yada. But again, like you said, it's seems to favor people that are prepared, people that are adaptable, you know. And if you establish your mindset in such a way that nothing external can hurt you, that even when there's, I mean, legitimate physical threats in the world, it can't hurt you because you're going to figure out some way. You know, there's confidence that you gain from knowing that, okay, some way, there's some possible way around this. I just have to work on it, figure out how I can still, you know, still be better and still be grateful and still be productive and still be fulfilled and live a full life, you know, in whatever form that takes.
Absolutely. It's possible, man. And we are living proof, you know, and we're certainly not even the first. We're nowhere near the first of our kind.
Right.
So it's been proven time and time again, you know, just the level of perseverance.
Right.
A level of perseverance that has helped, you know, humanity just continue to move forward and to grow, and not to just like survive the shit, but like to thrive, to learn how to thrive constantly, you know, with whatever opportunity is in front of us. And in that sense, it like, it almost becomes, it's fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun. You know, I wake up and I'm looking forward to, you know, just attacking that day, you know, and approaching that day and getting the most out of it as possible.
Absolutely.
Because looking back, you know, on the last time I went live, I think I was talking about, you know, having this fear of maintaining success, and having that kind of hold me back from trying something new or getting out of my comfort zone. But going through that and learning that my biggest fear was really one of regret, and that kind of any other fear looked smaller in comparison.
Sure.
Because when the day's over, you know, it's I don't know, to be like, what, you know, what could I have done? You know, what if, you know, those like that, those hypotheticals that you can't answer, they just don't sit well with me.
Right.
You know, so anything else could be adjusted. Anything of action can be adjusted and adapted to, and redefined. But to not take any action at all, and you that's the only time you have no control over the situation.
Right. So, yeah. Man, even if you make a mistake, even if it ends up not being a great decision, even if the outcome's not what you wanted, you know, it goes back to the stoic notion of the archer. You know, you shoot that arrow, man, and as long as you've prepared yourself the best you can, it doesn't matter if it hits that target.
Yeah.
You'll never know if you don't. You know, the Wayne Gretzky quote, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. You know, inaction is the most certain way to have regret when it's all said and done. You know?
Absolutely. And that's absolutely, man. That's, yeah. And that's the only thing I don't want.
Yeah.
Like that. All right. I feel like he's telling me to cut it off. He's like, all right, they want to.
Y'all been on long enough. It's sucker time.
Well, awesome, man. I'm glad we found out, you know, figured out this platform, and I'm looking forward to, you know, moving forward with what we started.
Yeah, man.
And I will, you know, we'll catch up next week. Everyone that's going to see this, I appreciate you. As always, you know, give us a like, give Day One a like, hold on upstate. And certainly, you know, a share is appreciated. So hope you guys are all doing well. And Rick?
Yeah, man. One of the biggest things I missed out of this, man, is is definitely the conversation. So I'm really glad we're able to get this all situated. I'm super excited we'll be able to share it with people. But as always, man, it's great. I appreciate the time and love hearing your insight, man. I'm really happy to know you're doing well and you're carrying forward with all the stuff we've been working on for so long, and look forward to doing it face to face for real. But this will do for the time being.
Likewise, brother. I'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, sounds good, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
All right.